Hi guys, I am Ibigandscary and I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay, this time at the Masters level on Daybreak, a Zerg versus Terran. Terran being played in the top right corner by a Barcode. I believe it's just a bunch of L's. I tried to find out who it was. No luck. Whoever it is Masters, so they're good. Very high Masters actually. Both of them are top 10 Masters, I think. Traveller. Bottom left, I think both of these players are on the European server. I could be mistaken, but I'm relatively certain just from what I read. Anyway, Daybreak, well-known map, medium ramp to the natural, wide path out to common ground with some destructible debris kind of choking up any aggression that's coming to there. A very exposed third in the top left corner. They can opt for an even more exposed fourth, or an even farther away fourth, depending on their playstyle. One way or another, though, the expansions get progressively exposed, which makes for an exciting game, as it gets harder and harder to hold those expansions that need to happen, kind of forcing action in the late game. Hopefully we see this go to the late game. We don't see any cheese out of either player. We've seen the supply get up to around 15 now, so it's looking like less and less like there's going to be cheese. In fact, Barcode has let his resources climb up to the point where it's looking like he's going to go for a fast expand. And with this SCV already heading down, either this is a scout that's just going to drop 2 bunkers, or more likely, as he's checking over here by the mineral field, he's going to drop a command center. At the same time, Traveller throws down his hatchery. Both players opting to go with a more aggressive and greedy style, throwing down their hatchery command centers before barracks or spawning pool, respectively. As I say that, though, Traveller gets his drone into position, waits for that 200 minerals, and throws down the spawning pool. Traveller does have a scouting drone in there, sees that no gas has been grabbed by Barcode, and that the barracks is just now going down. With the spawning pool coming down earlier, it takes a little bit longer than the barracks, though. So both players are going to have units on the field at about the same time. Traveller, though, will be in a bit better of a position to do some aggression just because of the Zerg's ability to take bases quickly and produce units faster than the Terran. But if Terran can hold this, if Terran can get turtled up and in a defensive stance, then he won't have an issue holding that natural expansion. And he'll be in a better place over Barcode unless Barcode decides to... over Traveller. Unless Traveller decides to push further, grab maybe a third, or maybe go roaches. The absence of any gas at all leads me to believe he's probably going to go for a third. Go with that, I think it's the Ice Fisher build. This guy's going out, maybe he's a scouting drone to check for any cheese. With the absence of too many tech structures in the main base, that wouldn't be a bad idea, but with his positioning, with those minerals climbing up to 300, it looks like Traveller is grabbing a third. Not an altogether bad choice, especially with his knowledge here, knowing that the only thing being built at that time was a bunker or a barracks. He knows that any aggression that's coming out of Barcode is going to be delayed one way or another. This SCV, though, getting an excellent scout off, go up to that third. He went down to the second, saw that the proliferation of drones was a little bit stunted, so he decided to check up with the third. And now that he's seen that, he might switch into more of a aggressive stance, or he might step back and defend and hold what he's got. You can see a reactor going up on the barracks with a factory right next to it. Those two will undoubtedly switch and allow the factory to double up on the production of Hellions, which will really take advantage of the very wide open pathway into the third, as well as the secondary pathway up into the natural. Both of those probe lines will be in danger. We do see a lot of queens being produced, though. 3 total, I believe. 4 total. Those 4 queens, with their increased range, will be a definite boon to hold off any harassment from these Hellions, but in sufficient number, even a couple of queens won't do it. You really need roaches, which will completely negate their damage. Tech lab coming up on the barracks. Might see marauders. We might just see heavy marine upgrades, which would benefit that marine siege tank army. 4 gas coming up. It's about time that Zerg just decides to double up on that gas production, we'll see some upgrades coming out of the spawning pool, as well as maybe more advanced tech insofar as better units being built. Another command center, this is pretty standard too. In the bottom, it'll morph into an orbital and then supplement the main expansion. It won't be used to push out and take a third until Barcode feels significantly more comfortable. 2 Hellions have arrived. They push in, they see a single drone, they'll take that out and then retreat because the damage that they do to a structure really isn't worth exposing them to increased damage. 2 Queens come in, get a couple pot shots off. 1 Queen moves down for the intercept. Could have these 2 Queens could have held position here and held off those Hellions from pushing in. But with 4 Hellions, that's enough to one-shot this probe line. So Traveller has to be very careful in handling that delicate situation. This is interesting from Barcode. He's opting to mass-produce Marauders with STEM. Well, it's interesting to see what's the next upgrade he opts for. It looks like he's just hardlining Marauders out of this with multiple Hellions on the way. Marauders will be able to do significant damage to any roaches that get fielded, as well as just a lot of damage to structures in general when they stem, and then they'll be able to keep up with these Hellions, which will do a ridiculous amount of damage to any Zerglings or drones that get pulled in defense. That'll be a nice composition as long as Barcode is able to field enough of them at one time. With only 1 factory producing units, it looks like that's going to help hold him back. As you can see, 3 barracks on the way. Tech for Stem Pack is just about to finish, as Barcode keeps poking at the front. Those 2 Queens are well prepared to deal with 3 Hellions now. The lair is done and 1-1. Ground is on the way, but you don't see a lot of units on the field. 56 drones, absolutely no Zerglings. You can see that Barcode has decided to push out, and these Marauders are going to do a significant amount of damage, and these Hellions, if they can get to the probe line, are just going to decimate that probe line. Not too much to worry about with the Queens, but if they push out when these Marauders arrive, 1 stem and both of these are dead, especially off creep. There goes the stem. These Marauders close. There's no Marauders slow, so those Queens can continue to run away, but that's really all they can do in front of this army, running away. Queen comes up to retreat with the drones. Those drones line perfectly up for the Hellions, and they all get roasted away. So just like that, probe count is favoring the Terran, who's on 2 base next to the 3 base from the Zerg, and it is Zerg. A lot of Zerglings, 23 with 22 more on the way. That should be enough to take this as long as they don't engage directly on the choke. If they do, it's going to be a lot of lost units due to the inability to get a good surround. They decide to go ahead and pull in Zerglings on either side. They just succeeded to take down all the Hellions, which would have done a lot of damage to this, and the remaining Zerglings slowly pick apart the Marauders, which really aren't the best unit to go against Zerglings. 4 more barracks on the production tab, no add-ons at all. He's just mainlining Marines right now. Marines with Hellions. Those Marines will be able to add a lot of DPS in the Hellions with their AoE. But it looks like Traveller succeeded in getting a Spire and a Infestor Pit up. With the stunted ability to do gas, he's decided to create 2 more gases up on the 3rd to supplement, maybe get some mutas up to do some economic damage on his own. Right now only 5. If they run into a cluster of Marines, then that's going to be all she wrote. At the same time, the Barcode decides to push down to the bottom right corner, take a 1/3 of his own. With that orbital, he feels pretty comfortable with the amount of damage he's done. These mutas come in, one-shotting SCVs at a time, doing a nice bit of harass. Hellions quick to react. With their inability to shoot up air, they're not going to be very handy. However, these Marines certainly will be. At the same time, Starport is doubling out medevacs. You can see here a Overlord was spewing creep, and the Marines decided to stem to take it out. It's a bit of a harassment technique with that creep. That orbital's not going to be able to land for quite some time. Hold off that 3rd with minimal resources lost. 21 Zerglings, 5 mutas, not a lot to deal with 40 Marines and almost 10 Hellions with the pre-igniter on it. Marines are at 1/1 with combat shield and stem, and then that pre-igniter is going to just absolutely crush the Zerglings. You don't see a Roach Warren anywhere, so the amount of damage that they do isn't going to be negated by any units on the field. The Zerglings just get roasted almost instantly away. The mutas are going to get absolutely crushed by the Marines if they decide to push in. So Traveller's setting to lose this third with no roaches on the field. He really doesn't have an answer for that, and he doesn't have the pathogen glands finished at the infestor pit, so he can't push out infestors to fungal growth this. If he had pushed them out a little while ago, he'd have units. Right now, he's just attacking with every Zergling he has. He loses the game. Banelings would have been awesome against this. Maybe some Banelings with Burrow. Infestors throwing a fungal growth on this would have been incredible. If Traveller had committed more to these mutas, he would have been able to do more harass. Here you saw how effective it was for just a couple of seconds. He could have popped down to any one of these other expansions, just kept the pressure up there. Maybe it would have succeeded in keeping Barcode on the back foot. I don't know. That was a great game. I'm glad you guys liked it, or at least watched it, because I mean, if you're at the end of the video and you hated it, you just hate yourself. I don't know if you hate me. Anyway, I am Ibigandscary. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later. Bye.